That's true. Did you come in there? I come down when I get there. Okay. I'm there.
Hi, guys.
Afternoon.
Hello. How are you?
Good, you?
Oh, yeah, there.
Hello.
How are you guys? Yeah. And then we went into our today, and then we came home and okay, yeah, that was Tracy came in and Myra came in, we ate it with Hi, how are you?
I sure hope I did. My goodness, because I have a 2-year-old right now. And I'm sorry, what is
Hey, how are you, Mr. Palace? All three of these tables are your guys, the Palace family. So it won't matter, I'm sure, with your family. You're all interchangeable, right?
Oh, yes.
That's one. Pops up there. Yeah, all three of these are reserved for the Palace family. Oh, yeah. Hey.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I know one.
No, probably not another.
right. I'm not retired, but
I learned that very quickly.
Focus on one, because they all sort of so there's
A long time to find that.
their Facebook, it's literally
Oh.
yeah.
Well,
Can't get away with
That's how close we are. Yes.
a little bit.
He is, and his family was very nice. I love it.
I've got a great catch.
Isn't he,
So,
okay, so see it exactly.
but yeah. to the end, at least to take it part of that, so I can add. It's good to be here. You're right. Really, we don't always have that.
Well, I've got one, I did it. But yeah, I would do that.
Small world. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
No, yes,
Hi, guys. How are you? Right on time. Yes. I loved hearing the Cecil stories. I never got to meet the guy. Well, I guess I should say that. I just never really got to know him.
Well, to know him, no.
Who's that? Cecil.
Cecil. Jim used to go to the state tournament.
Oh, yeah.
He was a good man. He was. Let's go.
Hello there.
Well, should I get you guys to take? I think you'll have plenty of space. So actually, you guys are. Oh my gosh.
All right, everybody's good. Oh, man, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Little girls. Oh,
Yes, I
Oh, it's all right.
hey, guys, no, we did. You too. Hey, no problem. No, it's fine, Josh. Oh, great.
We got the first two tables sorted out.
I wrote the check up months ago.
Oh, no. Right, so how you doing? You all doing okay? Good. Hey, man, how are you? Oh, yeah. Girl. Right, good. There he is. I'm here. Yellow.
I also put
Now that's good.
I'm gonna hear it live. So show, but then
I just feel comfortable sitting either one. Oh, it's 6.
Where'd you say? Oh, did he? Okay. He did a good job. He picked out all the colors.
yeah, it was so hard.
He could just stay here. He did. This time. On the house. That's really
That's one of the Oh, that is so.
I see the videos too.
If you don't mind.
But anyway,
Let's go through that.
Oh, I see.
Jack, you look good. This is the guy I need to talk to. Yeah. Go for it,
It's not as good as
Right.
but I haven't got it.
Yes.
I figured so.
It'll be good luck. Yeah, let's go out. You don't have anything else? That is, man.
Well, you don't. I'm glad to see you. Pretty good. Pretty good. You know how that is. Yeah. Yeah. But they're good. Oh, thank you. Wait. I've seen you. Wait. You crying? Wait. Oh, I know. You can do that. And then if you want, I don't. Oh, I'm. They want to see it. You just see it.
Yes, they're over here. Hey, good to see you. How is everything? Really? Well, hey, good seeing you. Yeah.
I looked up here now. And what do they?
Two introductions better than none.
Let's just sit down here till. I'll go find
That's what they're doing. They just want, it's in that remote, he was
But that is the thought.
When's the last time you saw him? That's my brother. He'll be here
Leave family or on that side over there.
Okay.
So that's why I was
Fix it for you. Fix it like that. I'm gonna fix it for you. Hey, there's Harold.
Just watch this cord. Well, you just have to go under the cord there. But yes. And up here, fine too. Yeah, I will. Well, I have to be right now in closing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, Stream.
Hello. How are you?
You're still coaching. Fella. Yeah, you know it's up, but you don't remember. That tells you how good that was. Yeah, I just wasn't. It was fun. Basketball, you get you got to stop. You have time to think about it. Yeah. Oh, you just move back. Why you doing
There they are.
He's almost here. He's pulling out the driveway as I drove by. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Hello, Mimi.
You out there hanging out with all your friends?
If we can have everybody start to find their tables, seats.
Hey, how are you?
We're starting here in a few minutes.
There you are. Waiting on you.
3 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I stood up.
Hey, good to see you.
Yes, you got me here. No, right there, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's a long line of people to speak tonight, to honor tonight. We've got a lot of good food to start eating as well, but I just want to welcome everybody to the 2025 Flora High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, last year, this year, you couldn't ask for better inductees than what we have. Now, that's not to say that we don't have plenty more of very good candidates that will one day be recognized just like those we recognized last year and those that we recognized tonight. But tonight, we're focusing on a few. And their achievements and their accomplishments should be something that is remembered in our community, in our school for years to come. And it is great to see so many families come together and unite to support and to help recognize our individuals and our teams tonight. I'm going to keep it really short. Tim Locum is going to be the MC tonight. He was inducted last year, and he says he doesn't mind being the heavy because he lives in Arizona, so if he rushes somebody, he lives thousands of miles away and doesn't have to worry about anything. So, hey, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to start the meal line. I'm going to ask this side here to go first. We can both these tables, and then Mrs. Henniker's table as well. We'll go ahead and go out on both sides of the table. And then when everybody gets situated and back in here, shortly after that, we will start our induction ceremony. So if you would, please bow with me at this time. Dearly Father, we just thank you for the honor and privilege of being here tonight to recognize some outstanding individuals. Not only were they outstanding athletes and are outstanding athletes, but left a legacy behind to make many people proud. We thank you for the opportunity that we get to honor them tonight. We thank you for the many gifts, blessings that you bestowed on them and their families. Father, we just ask a special blessing on this food and all the hands that prepared it. Lord, we love you, and we thank you that we were part of the Flora Wolves sports program. So it's in Jesus Christ's name I do pray. Amen. All right. Like I said, we'll start with you guys, if you don't mind going out that door there and going around, and then Jenny as well.
We go.
Like puffed out salad? Well, that's not. Ranger.
And I've not been in Joel, so I'm pretty sick. I
Good, I was hoping.
I didn't know. I didn't know how to use the picture every time I would say like. Because I took them all. Next time I'll say.
Terrorized your dad. Yeah, yeah, Star Wars.
I've never heard it called it is till you told me it is. And then I was like, oh my God.
There's the real coach. What are you doing there? Special treat. Special. There you go.
Were you gonna try to sit in
My son was listening to the football game last night. Hey, good, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
What's his name? What's his name?
What's his name?
It's kind of a term up there. Every time I hear somebody say feller, I kind of perk up.
Oh my goodness.
Have a little self-destruction. I'm happy. Yeah, that coach is Arkansas. We got the ball on the side right there. Yeah, he wasn't going to play. Still coaching. That coach is
You're getting smart, buddy.
We're all happy the day you give him. Yes, quality food, right? I usually beat when I back up.
Oh,
Yeah, I got a blinker system.
Hey.
There you go.
Good, how you doing? Brett.
there we go.
There you are.
You better know, man.
See, right away.
This is my wife, Kathy. Down there on the day gets that cold. I like that game. Out there, get some drink. He's getting the shirty. Hello. Well, we set the beer coffee. Oh.
I'm not sure you're Steve.
You like that food?
Yeah, I think you said something about a rainbow. Yeah, like rainbow.
Oh, those passages. Passages like crazy. No, don't live in the middle of the pipe.
Where is it?
I'll move over. I don't want Tim beating me up.
How you doing?
I can't. We haven't had to test it yet. So.
They seem to understand that they can run it.
Did you see?
Thank God we ran out of time.
Did you see the offensive steps go over the
No.
They never were there outside.
We've been spot. All that Everybody around. In the middle of Nashville.
Nelson,
Everybody just wants to
I
around us.
said that first time we played right there in the black box.
Came all the way to us. Started moving south. People just took the built house.
I'll hold down the fort up here.
They're like, oh, you moved here? Where are you from? That's it.
Oh,
The first wave.
Oh, I remember when,
Second wave is
we had I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Any level. That was the Golden State. Oh, that was the Golden State. Now on the stage. Tim jumped. They got a good height of this. They pull the ball up. Foul.
All of that. Yeah, I'm starting to.
What is that? You know who the ref were? Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. All set.
No, it's right there. Oh, it's just right here, maybe.
Freaking mom, you're coming through there, man.
Hey. Yeah, last week. Okay. Surely I did. Yeah.
On the first day.
Yeah, yeah.
Too bad it's not real.
Yeah, it was not. Everyone sit there. How you doing?
Oh. Y'all are coming in. Yeah. We come on Sunday night, then you don't have to worry about it. See? Then you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. I mean, now, Gary, I'm gonna tell Nikki she has to go home with this one.
Make sure the cat's
Goes back to Disney. Y'all gotta go down.
I bet you. Because they have pretty well kids. Oh yeah, they would. Doesn't like get away.
Stacy and Tracy. Did you come or you stay? I was wondering.
I didn't think that was nothing. So Texas did.
Well, I knew she would have taken the hotel.
That's a shake up on the national
No, where whatever.
Where's she at?
We're talking about. I didn't know that happened. You just sang it. I mean,
You should.
okay.
Story.
Yeah.
Good Larry. Good man.
I think Shauna grabbed him.
Listen to that.
Be quiet. John grabbed up and barked at everybody. He ended up with second shots on me. Okay. Because everybody at the bar.
I just moving up there.
That didn't work.
Oh, no.
Recognize you. Good to see you. It's been a year. About right out of year.
Right on. Right on. Yes, it has. Good to see you. Doing okay.
Good.
Doing all right.
Still in Centralia, Mount Vernon area.
Mount Vernon.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I talked to Joe.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't do it. Yeah. We went down to his place for 4th of July this past summer.
Really? You're better than that.
All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you too. Thank you.
Should have grabbed a napkin on the way out.
Just so you might say that. So, it just, but I'm still having. It's very. Because y'all were the category. I know, it wasn't, I'm so sorry about that, but y'all were encouraged.
That was about an immediate shock. It didn't work at that time.
I'd be honest.
We're all fighting. All right, doing good. So, hey, man, how you doing? Yeah, I know. God, exciting to talk about. Yeah. See you. Hey. See you later. Good luck. Oh. I thought maybe it got a yell. All right, we'll talk.
Huh? No, I thought that was too. I know, I didn't pay that much.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening. Can everybody, all right. As you guys are finishing up, I just want to give some opening remarks and then we will get right to our inductees this evening. I want to welcome all friends, family, and supporters of Wolves Athletics to the induction ceremony this year for the Flora High School Hall of Fame. We all know Flora has a very rich and storied tradition and history in athletics, and all of us associated with the Hall of Fame are honored that the players, coaches, teams, and community members that have helped shape this history now have a place to be recognized both now and in future generations. We appreciate the support of all of you that are here this evening, as well as all of the people watching on our stream on Wabash TV. This class of 2025 to be inducted represents a very diverse group of recipients spanning multiple decades, various sports, and countless outstanding and incredible achievements. So without further ado, it's time to honor this year's inductees. Our first recipient tonight is Jerry Hemphill. Jerry was a 1967 graduate of Flora High School and was a four-year letterman in football, basketball, and track for the Wolves. Jerry was best known for his excellence on the football field with the ability to play multiple positions, including being a standout running back. During his senior season, Jerry ran for over 1,300 yards, averaging over 146 yards a game, and scored 123 points, earning him both all-conference and all-state honors. That 1966 team finished undefeated and was named the #1 team in Southern Illinois. Following high school, Jerry enlisted. I'll have to talk louder. Following high school, Jerry enlisted in the Marines and became a decorated veteran. After completing his service in Vietnam, he then returned to Florida to raise his family and work for the city, which he did in multiple capacities for 32 years. Accepting this honor tonight on Jerry's behalf, please welcome to the stage his stepson, Mr. Jeff Morris.
All right, thank you, Jim. On behalf of Jerry Wayne Hemphill and his family members, I would like to say thank you to all in attendance this evening. Also, thank you to the Unit 35 administration for allowing this honor for so many outstanding athletes, contributors, and teams for Flora High School over the past century. And a thank you to fellow Hall of Fame members, as well as the families of fellow Hall of Fame members and friends that will enjoy this special occasion. Jerry would be so honored and happy to be here tonight to receive this award for the efforts he put forth so many years ago. Of course, anyone that knew Jerry would know that he would say main reason he is receiving this award is because of the legendary Hall of Fame team he played on and all of the Hall of Fame teammates he has. He told me several times that with the offensive line he ran behind, the backfield he was a part of, as well as the ends that made those superb blocks downfield, he said all he had to do was just run the daylight. And there was plenty of daylight. I believe he would also want to say a special thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for recognizing his undefeated 1966 Flora Wolves football team, even more so than him individually. We believe he would truly be honored by that. Also, we feel he would also like to thank not only his coaches and teammates, but the great Flora Wolves fans. The stories of the crowds from the games played that season are legendary and Hall of Fame worthy in and of themselves. Finally, anyone that truly knew Jerry and knew the type of friend, husband, father, co-worker, or even Flora High School sports fan he was, knew that he was a Hall of Famer, whether he played football or not. It just so happened to be the icing on the cake that he was one of the best football players ever to come from this town. Now, let me talk a little bit about Jerry's individual accomplishments on the football field that Tim mentioned briefly there, and of what he's being honored here for tonight. He did other sports, but I think we all know that football's why we're here for him. Jerry simply, with his recognition, is now officially one of the greatest Flora Wolves of all time. Maybe the best. Maybe somebody else is. It doesn't really matter. Hall of Famer says it all. I'm sure Jerry had great statistics in his underclass years, but his senior season, along with the other members of that team, was quite amazing. Numbers I'll be providing you came from a master's thesis written by Philip Mann titled A History of Interscholastic Football at Flora High School. And I don't want to bother with these numbers, but you have to agree they're quite astonishing. So I'll go through it briefly. Jerry had games of 120 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Carmine, 123 yards and 1 touchdown versus Robinson, 114 yards versus Salem, 183 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Mount Carmel, 112 yards and 4 touchdowns versus Lawrenceville, 120 yards and 3 touchdowns versus Fairfield, 195 yards and 1 touchdown versus Bridgeport, 167 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Albion, 185 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Alling, and finally, over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Centralia in a game of the season that determined the, quote, Southern Illinois champion. There is a slight discrepancy, but I'm comfortable saying that Jerry rushed for over 1,400 yards and scored approximately 20 touchdowns, which at the time was believed to be the all-time single-season rushing record for Flora High School. And as Larry McGrew would say, they didn't play Weasel Creek. Also, most of these games were 5 or more touchdown differences. And a lot of times, that was the score by halftime. In other words, Jerry and many of the other starters didn't play much in the second half, which didn't matter. The backups were just as good. But if he had played more in the second half, who knows what his numbers could have been. Jerry, however, would have never thought this way, as he was all about the team first, and most importantly, getting the victory. Interestingly, while speaking to Hall of Famer Lyndall Smitty, he shared with me an interesting story. He had spoke with Jerry in the early 1990s as Eric Major was approaching Jerry's single-season rushing record. The subject of only playing half as many games came up in their conversation. Jerry reminded Smitty that by the coaching staff doing this, it allowed his legs to be much more fresh for the next opponent. It helped him remain injury-free, plus it developed players for the future. Always thinking of the team first, what he could do to help the team in their pursuit of perfection. Jerry did, however, receive many postseason awards and accolades, including being selected to the North Egyptian Conference All-Star Team, the Chicago All-American All-State Team, Decatur Herald and Tribune Area Player of the Year, and Parade Magazine recognition as High School All-American. After the completion of the season, Jerry told me he was recruited to play football by many nationally recognized schools, such as Notre Dame, University of Illinois, as well as many others. In fact, Buddy Mark told me last night that Notre Dame's coach at the time was Eric Parsegian and was there to watch Jerry and the Flora Wolves play a game against Central. Jerry had another calling, however. It had been ingrained in him since his youth about service to his country, the greatest country God ever allowed to be created. His father, Harold, his uncle, Charles, Billy, and little Harry, as well as his brother, David, and close friends, Charles Weezer Briscoe, Leon Lane, Bud Meisenheimer, Johnny Cummings, were all military veterans. Jerry chose to join the United States Marine Corps, enlisting after high school in the late 60s and served through 1970. While in the Corps, he was forward deployed in Vietnam. He was involved in several campaigns there, including being stationed along the Vietnamese-Cambodian border. And since he was a Marine, as he told me several times, all Marine units were combat units. In other words, he saw some action while he was over there. As his service ended, he had received several awards and medals, being honorably discharged with the rank of Lance Corporal, and knowing he was a lifetime Marine. He then transitioned back to Flora, Clay County, and began his lifelong career with the city of Flora. He worked tirelessly for various departments in the city public works, ultimately being the head foreman for many years of the city's gas department. Due to his amazing ability to operate a backhoe and other heavy machinery, it was not uncommon for him to join other city crews and assist them in serving the citizens of Flora, whether it be during water breaks, storm damage, snowstorms, or simply whatever was needed. He was there for the citizens. Finally, for all of his accomplishments in life, his greatest blessing, greatest pride, and greatest treasure was his family. He dearly loved his wife, Mary. Even though he probably had more evening dinners with Bobby Snell, Brent Eskew, Ty Hemphill, Jim Hawkins, Gary Anderson, maybe even a few city police officers at an undisclosed city property location. If it was wild and could be killed, caught, or trapped, those guys would cook it and they would eat it every night. Because one of them was working the second shift there. So he was one of the most influential male figures in my life, without a doubt. He also probably attended more of my sporting events or events of my life than my actual father did. As his mother, Jeannie, told me, honey, there's no such thing as step in this family. You're with us all the way. And that was true. Then, the pride of his life, his daughters, Jenna and Jared, were born. Trust me, whether he was on a boat, in the woods carrying a shotgun or rifle, or riding around town in a city truck with Carl Zimmerman, I promise either of you or your mother, or a combination thereof, was the topic of their conversation. Or at least the topic they just finished talking about, or the next topic they were going to be discussing. He loved you guys very much. Then, he tragically left us in August of 2000, leaving such a void for all of us. And prior to him leaving, Cole, Jaron, Collier, Chase, Holland, he would be so proud of all you as his grandchildren. And yes, Cole, he would have been an Outlaw Indian fan. Jaron, you would have heard your grandfather at all those football games on the sidelines. Collier, he'd have probably been the biggest Scholastic Bowl fan we've ever had in this town. And Chase, he didn't like soccer, but he would have become a soccer fan because you were playing in it. And Holland, future Lady Pups and Wolf Cow games that you'll be participating in, they would be must-see events for him. Unless, of course, it was opening deer season, or the crappie were spawning on East Fork Lake, or the opening of squirrel season. Then he might miss it for that. Finally, I want to wrap up. I want to borrow a few lines from a famous pro football Hall of Fame speech and fit it to how I feel Jerry would have addressed it tonight. He might have said, how fortunate I was to play for the Flora Wolves fans. They were proud fans that loved their sports team. And if I could start my life over again, yeah, I probably would have wed Mary Ruth a little sooner. No doubt, I would have joined my beloved Marine Corps. And mostly, I would have been a football player. And you damn well better believe I would have been a Flora Wolf. Thank you very much.
Our next recipient this evening is Bob Tackett. Bob was a 1967 graduate of Flora High School, where he was a standout player for the Wolves football team. Following his senior season, Bob was selected as the NEC Player of the Year, received all-state recognition from the Chicago Daily News, and was awarded the ultimate achievement, being selected as a high school All-American. Following high school, Bob received a scholarship to play football at the University of Illinois. But his college career was cut short due to being drafted into the Army to serve in Vietnam. Following his military duties, Bob returned to Flora to meet and marry his wife Barb, to raise his family, and to serve in several positions around the city, most notably being elected mayor of Flora in 2007. Accepting this honor tonight on Bob's behalf, please welcome to the stage his wife of 42 years, Barb Tackett.
Is this on? Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the nomination committee, because without your support and confidence in Bob, I wouldn't be standing here accepting this on his behalf tonight. As his family, we are truly honored. And secondly, I want to make a little disclaimer. My little speech here is not as technical. It was difficult for me to find information. So it's based primarily on recall from conversations that go back a long, long time. So there's no intent to mislead if something isn't exactly correct. It's the way I remember it. And I did have some difficulty finding information because, believe it or not, it's been 60 years since that epic season, almost 60. And many of the people who could have provided me with information, like Jerry and Phil, are gone too. So I thought, well, I'm going to take a little different approach, and I just want to paint a picture of what it was like for this 17-year-old boy to live through that. If you were to ask Bob what was the biggest event of his life, the biggest thing that ever happened to him, he would probably say, and I can almost guarantee, oh, the day I married Gorgeous, which is what he called me. But he might say, well, the day my kids were born. Or he might say, 3 times I was elected mayor. But the kids and I know that's not true, and we're okay with that. We take a back seat to that 1966 season. He told me that on game night, the cars were backed up all the way to the railroad tracks, and that the cars completely filled the side streets. The bleachers were completely full, and hundreds of spectators filled the area just outside the playing field fence. They moved back and forth with progression of the ball. It was just like a dance almost. In the stands were news and sports media from everywhere. There were newspapers, radio, and even a little bit of television coverage. And then the letters and offers from colleges started coming in. And he did ultimately choose the University of Illinois so that his family could come and watch him play. So imagine being 17 years old and all that's going on. He was a very, very humble man and rarely talked about that 1966 season unless you brought it up first and then pull up a chair. Because he loved to talk about those days and those games. And he isn't here to verify what I'm about to say, but I'm almost positive that he could recall every down, every play of every game. I believe he could. He told me that in one game, Flora had the ball on their own 5-yard line. So they had a long way to go for a touchdown. But inch by inch, down by down, they marched down the field, and just seconds before time ran out, the Wolves crossed the goal line for a touchdown. They ran to the locker room cheering and high-fiving each other. They were happy. That wasn't until Coach Warnke came in, because he was furious. Finally, one of the players said, "Coach, we just put 7 points on the board. Isn't that a good thing?" And Coach Warnke said, "Don't ever take 10 downs to score a touchdown again." So at that moment, Bob realized that even if things are good, they can always be better. And he kind of followed that into his adult life. That, for some reason, struck a chord with him. And Coach Warnke also had a rather unorthodox way of motivating their players. Bob said that he would get down in the tackle stance. Coach Warnke would be right behind him or beside him with a 2x4 up in the air, and somebody would blow the whistle, and he would either be fast enough to get out of the way of the 2x4 or got hit. And he said he didn't mind. It motivated him. He got faster, and I don't think it probably would fly today, but that's the way it was done there. And about 20 years after he graduated from high school, he got a phone call. A custodian was doing some cleaning in the office when a very large and heavy file cabinet was moved. There was a manila envelope that had fallen behind it. The envelope was dated 1966. In the envelope was a letter of congratulations and a certificate awarding him as an All-American for that 1966 season. Can you imagine? He was nearly 40 years old when he discovered that. In his bio, there is a picture of him holding a cake and the kids on either side of him. Cake says number 71, All-American 1966. We had a small party after our rural route 2, complete with orange and blue streamers and balloons. I am just so grateful he was alive when that discovery was made. And undoubtedly, throughout the years, other teams and individual players have had similar success. After all, Flora has been blessed to have many successful athletes and teams. But in 1966, it was just unheard of, unprecedented. In the 60s, there was no such thing as school divisions or class. Every school that played football, high school, played under the same umbrella. That meant that Flora was in the same group or category as the Chicago schools. And that year, Flora was ranked number 3 in the state with that kind of competition. Bob, his teammates, and Coach Warnke put Flora on the map. And speaking of coaches, Bob would be upset if I didn't mention this. It's difficult to find a man that is both knowledgeable about the game and also one who leads by example. Bob's nephew, Coach Brian Tackett, is both of those things. Coach Tackett, your Uncle Bob was so proud of you. Thank you for enabling Flora's football legacy to continue and carry on. And in conclusion, I have just one more thing that I want to say. And I would like to speak directly to Bob. Congratulations to number 71. The kids and I are so proud of you. Well done. Thank you.
Allegedly, it's working. Okay. Our next recipient tonight is 1951 Flora High School graduate John Paulus. John was a standout basketball and tennis player for the Wolves, with his most notable achievements coming on the tennis court. John was the Illinois State singles champion as a senior in 1951, and at the age of 18 was rated the #1 tennis player in the United States. Following high school, John received a basketball scholarship to the University of Michigan with the agreement he would also play tennis. After 1 year, he transferred to Murray State, where he excelled in both sports, most notably never losing a singles or doubles match over his entire 3 years in the tennis program. John then embarked on a college basketball coaching career, winning 2 NCAA titles as an assistant coach with the University of Cincinnati in 1961 and 62, and most importantly to me, serving as the head coach of the University of Wisconsin for 8 seasons beginning in 1968. John also continued to compete on the tennis court throughout his lifetime, and among all of his incredible achievements, on the international tennis circuit, he was ranked #1 in the world in his age group for over 35 years. Accepting this award on behalf of John tonight, please welcome to the stage his son, Jojo Powers.
Start off with, I think it's appropriate that we're right across from Flora, where Dad never, ever forgot where he was from. And literally the drive that kept him going all those years through tennis and through basketball. And on behalf of my brother and the family, and Dad is honored. Dad is honored to be included among the Flora High School Wolves athletes that are being nominated and inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know it's a special thing for him, but just to mention the fact that he literally never forgot where he was from. And it's not being humble, it was actually being proud to be from Flora. But just to give an example of how he remembered Flora, he was in a tournament in Germany and was a speaker at the dinner before the tournament. And at the buffet, literally mentioned Flora in the comments. Well, he was done. He was walking back to the dorm to sack out and get ready to play the next day. And there was some guy following him. And anybody that knew Dad knows that he's a pretty straight-edged guy. And he turned around and goes, "Can I help you with something?" Well, the gentleman goes, "Well, I heard you mention Flora in your speech." And Dad goes, "Yeah, how do you know Flora?" And, you know, being Germany and a guy coming with Flora, Illinois, is pretty unique. But Dad goes, "Well, I'm one of the sponsors for the tournament. And when I was 12, I got crested into service in the Nazi Germany army and was captured and being railroaded out to Kansas as a prisoner of war. And most places we stopped, you know, people would spit on the train and, you know, carry on and demonstrate. But he said, in Flora, Illinois, there was a woman that had baked a stack full of cookies and gave that to us. And that was so memorable. I mean, it was so welcomed by all of us. And anyway, Dad goes, "Well, you're one of the sponsors. Well, who are you?" And he goes, "Well, matter of fact, I'm the vice president of Mercedes-Benz." So Dad came a long way from where he was. But anyway, yeah, Dad, through his athleticism and the people and contacts he made, he was best friends with Fess Parker, best friends with Tippy Hedren of the Birds, Jonathan Winters, a bunch of notable characters that he met through sports. But Dad, his whole takeaway, as well as Grandpa Cato, was think you can win, you can win. And that kind of determination led him on the successful career he did. But once again, I know he is honored by the nomination and remembered by the Flora Athletic Department. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank A.D. McNeely and Tim Logan for putting all this together, because it's certainly an honor. And I'm very proud to be up here and introduce this. But in the spirit of Dad, and I hope this isn't on taste for everybody, but old Chinese proverbs say, passionate kids like spiders with them soon lead to undoing a fly.
Okay, our next recipient this evening is Cecil Jones. Cecil's a 1941 graduate of what was then Harder Township High School before it was renamed to Flora High School, where he was a three-sport athlete, earning a total of 11 letters in football, basketball, and track. He played both quarterback and safety for head coach Bert Dancy in football, was first-team all-conference as a senior in basketball, and qualified for the state tennis meet all 4 years of high school. Following graduation, Cecil was given the opportunity to play basketball at SIU Carbondale, but instead enlisted in the Marine Corps only months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Following his discharge with honors, Cecil returned to Flora, where he was a mainstay around Flora athletics. Cecil served on the chain gang for football for 38 seasons and spent an even longer time at the scorer's table in basketball, serving in that capacity for a staggering 54 years. In addition, for over 20 years, the Cecil Jones Memorial Scholarship was presented to a senior athlete to help further their education in college, something Cecil himself did not have an opportunity to do. Accepting this award on behalf of Cecil tonight, please welcome to the stage Jessica Reeder, Laura Hediger, and Jennifer Hediger.
All right, good evening. I'm Jessica Reeder, the oldest granddaughter of Cecil and Maxine Jones. It is such an honor for my grandfather, Cecil Jones, to be inducted into the Flora High School Athletic Hall of Fame and be given the chance to introduce him this evening. Sports, especially high school sports, have always held such a special place in my heart, and I believe that love is a special genetic trait that I inherited from my mom and my grandpa and my grandma. All of my early sports memories include the three of them. And during the 80s and 90s, when the Flora Wolves basketball teams were so good, we had season tickets and didn't miss a game. I loved going to games and cheering on the Wolves or the cheerleaders, but who was really keeping score at that time? Papa took his job at the score table very seriously, but always found time to come see us. And I could count on two things. Papa and Mama would greet me with, well, there's my Jessie girl, followed by, and how about them Wolves? As fun as it was growing up cheering on the Wolves, nothing compared to sharing high school memories and the gym floor with Papa. Once I entered high school, Papa and Mama would wait outside or schedule their yard work to see the high school band march to the football field to practice. We all loved seeing them waiting for us and cheering on the entire band as we marched to and from the football field. After home football games, they opened their home to the girls to get changed for sock hops at the high school. Of course, they had snacks that included Rolos and ice cold Cokes for all of us. When basketball started, it was a joke between the two of us who would get to the gym first because the lights really did need to be turned on for the game. And I don't think any of you would be surprised to know that Papa always won. I would walk into the gym and he was doing various tasks, which included turning on the scoreboard, sweeping the floor, and who knows what else. He would simply wave and shoo me off to put my bag away. And once the gym was officially ready for the game, he would come over and hug his Jessie girl and tell me good luck. Again, not a surprise, he would also give me a full scouting report on the team that we were playing that night. These were such special moments throughout my first 2 years of high school. Unfortunately, Papa passed away between my sophomore and junior years. And even though he wasn't there physically for my last 2 years, you could definitely still feel him there in spirit. The greatest lessons that I learned from Papa and Mama came from their love of the Flora Wolves. They lived a life that showed me how important it is to belong, and especially to belong to something that is much bigger than yourself. Many of these lessons have guided me in my adult life. Being part of a program, giving back to the community, and shaping the future of my community became goals of mine at a very early age because of my grandpa, Cecil Jones, and the foundation that he built for his family. So again, thank you for giving our family this opportunity to honor my grandfather, Cecil Jones. I know he is looking down and beaming with pride on this, over this honor. So at this time, Flora Hebbiger, come on up.
I would like to share a public service announcement that was given by Flora's former mayor, Rick Slaughter, at the first home basketball game in 2000. At this time, we would like to take a moment to remember a very special person to the Flora basketball program, Cecil Edward Jones, who passed away on June 16, 2000. To say that Cecil was a true friend of Flora basketball only begins to tell of the service that he gave to his school. He served as the timekeeper for 53 seasons for the basketball program. He also worked the chains for the Flora Wolves football program for 38 seasons. Cecil's love and devotion to our local athletic teams was truly unmatched. In 1990, Cecil was honored by being inducted into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame as a friend of basketball. A better friend than Cecil, Flora Athletics has never had. 25 years later, that statement still holds true. He learned his discipline, his devotion, his loyalty, and his grit here in this very special town under the Friday night lights, on the tennis courts, and on the Conley Gymnasium basketball floor. Now, a quarter of a century after his death, it is an honor for the Jones family that Cecil and his lifelong dedication to his Flora Wolves and Flora Wolves athletics have not been forgotten, and that his legacy will always live on through this very special Hall of Fame induction. For more on this special athlete's early years, I turn things over to my mom, Cecil's daughter, Jennifer Henry.
Well, it's a little difficult following these two, but I can give all that I got. Cecil Jones was born on June 9, 1921 in rural Xenia. Being one of the 8 children during the Depression offered very few opportunities that most of us here tonight have enjoyed. Dad once told me that the best thing he remembered from his childhood was when his family moved to Flora. He loved being able to attend school on a regular basis and being part of everything. He was able to walk to school and participate in school sports. He ended up earning 11 varsity letters in football, basketball, and tennis. From the football field to the basketball court, it seemed like Dad could do it all. He went to state all 4 years in tennis, but he took a special interest in basketball. He was a member of the 1939 basketball team, which made it to the Illinois State Tournament. Being able to play in Huff Hall at the University of Illinois in a one-class system was an accomplishment. The team eventually lost the second-place Paris by a score of 25 to 22. It wasn't exactly a Hoosier fairy tale ending, but it was definitely a cool experience for his Wolves. In a time before television or the internet exposure, Cecil garnered interest from some of the best colleges in the state of Illinois, landing a full ride scholarship to play basketball at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. Instead of pursuing his athletic and educational dreams of becoming a coach, Cease put his country before himself by enlisting in the Marines during World War II. Dode Briscoe and Dad went into the Marines together. I'm sure some of you can remember that my mom loved to write letters and sing cards. Well, Dode asked his younger sister Maxine to write to Cecil Jones while they were in basic training, as well as overseas. Fast forward a few years, Maxine Briscoe became Maxine Jones on May 19, 1947, after Dad came back from the war. Well, upon returning to Flora, Dad's playing days were behind him, but his passion for his Flora Wolves continued. The Harder Stanford Township High School alumni, class of 1941, not only bought a house on Flora Avenue, it was situated perfectly between the high school and the football field. He began running the chains during the football games and keeping time at the basketball games for over 5 decades until his passing in 2000. You can find Cecil at every single home basketball game at the end of the scores table in what is now known as Conley Gymnasium. Well, as a little girl, I loved to go to the games with Dad and sit beside him on the bench. Trust me, there was no moving, no talking, and definitely no squirming. I was there to watch the game. It was business. When I graduated to sitting on the bleacher behind the bench, I thought I'd really made it to a good time. Well, as the years passed and Mom and Dad became empty nesters, their social life centered around ball games. Dad volunteered and traveled to watch his Wolves because he truly loved the game. His dedication to his Flora Wolves even earned him a spot in the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame as a friend of basketball for all the time he volunteered to the Wolves basketball program. Cecil was a standout athlete during a time when players always put the team before themselves. He would graciously comment on the selfless athletes, so proud to wear that FLORA on their orange and blue uniform. The Jones family kept Cecil's love of sports and sportsmanship alive by awarding an annual scholarship in his name to the Flora athlete who truly embodied all the characteristics that my father so greatly admired. The Cecil Jones Memorial Scholarship was given to 21 young students until my mother's passing in 2021. It's been really interesting doing the research for Dad's induction into the 2025 Flora Athletic Hall of Fame. First of all, I would like to thank Coach Tom Welch. Dad thought Tom was a fantastic coach and an even better friend. There are lots of small town high school sports conversations held around the tables of local restaurants with a lot of coffee being poured. Tom was really good about being one of the guys and generating interest in the basketball program. I'm sure that Tom made Dad feel valued in his role, and I also believe Tom Welch wrote the nomination letter for the IBCA Hall of Fame. Right before Dad passed away in June of 2000, he was in Clay County Hospital. One evening, I went into this hospital room and heard Dad and Tom discussing who Flora should hire as the new basketball coach. I know they were both in agreement that Phil Lee should fill that role. After 25 seasons, I think that Phil proved them right. I would also like to thank Smitty for all the wonderful articles and kind words that he wrote about Dad throughout the years. They definitely had a great respect for each other. I'd also like to thank Jim Fehrenbacher for driving that group of basketball-loving older men to the Illinois State Basketball Tournament each year. Although the group of men often changed, their game day routines stayed the same. My dad exemplified everything the greatest generation stood for. He was driven, hardworking, disciplined, humble, and loyal. He was loyal first to his country, then to his family, then to his beloved wolves. I would like to challenge all of you here tonight to pay it forward. Use your talents, skills, and success in life to reach out to young athletes. When my girls left for the University of Illinois, my parting words were, be proud of where you came from. I'm very proud to be from Flora, just like my parents were. So in conclusion, Cecil Jones loved sports, but especially high school athletics. He was a true Flora Wolves fan, and he definitely bled orange and blue. It's an honor that his legacy will forever live on as a member of the Flora Athletic Hall of Fame. Now, I would like to have our immediate family, my daughters, and the rest of my family stand, extended family and friends. I felt like we had a very nice turnout tonight. Thank you.
Our next honor this evening goes to the first team being inducted into the Flora High School Hall of Fame. No surprise to anybody tonight, that is the 1966 Flora Wolves football team. This team has the distinction of being the most decorated football team in school history. As we heard, undefeated with a perfect 10-0 record, winning the NEC, and being selected as the top team in Southern Illinois after defeating Centralia 20-0. For the season, the Wolves outscored their opponents that year by a combined total of 321-40. Accepting this honor on behalf of that team is Bud Martin, who is the quarterback for the Wolves. Please welcome Bud to the stage.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it very much. I've been in front of the microphone many times in the last 50 years, and I've always failed to do something I want to do. I want to do a recognition. I want to recognize a person who's been my best friend, my rock, my companion for the last 55 years, my Hall of Fame wife, Linda. Miss Linda was Linda's one I've always kept around. We were traveling back from St. Louis to East Texas, and got a phone call in the car with Bobby McNeely. I punched somebody, came on the speaker, and Bobby said, Mr. Martin, would you come speak at the Hall of Fame banquet and present the 66 Wolves? And I said, well, Bobby, I would, but there's surely people still there in the community that could do that. He says, well, not really. So I started naming them off. And I went down my list. They kept getting longer, and on the list, everybody was either for a physical reason couldn't do it, or never did. So I said to Bobby, well, I guess I'll do it for you. Can you tell me when it's going to be? He says it's going to be the night of October 11th. I said, okay, I'll be there. Hung up, we drove down the road, and the farther we drove, and I thought about it, talked to Linda about it, I started to feel pretty important about being asked. And I finally said to Linda, can you believe they asked me to do this? Why would they do that? I don't understand it. She says, I do. She says three simple things. Number one, you're on the team. Number two, you're alive. And number three, you can still see the drive at night. this, I'll get this out of the way first. Tim, Bobby, committee, on behalf of the players and the coaches of the 66 Flora Wolves, I want to thank you for honoring us and tell you how much we appreciate being selected as the first team we installed in this Hall of Fame. This kind of vindicates or validates something I've been saying for over 50 years. In my lifetime, I was fortunate to play on 2 very good football teams and to coach several really good football teams in East Texas. And I have told people for over 50 years, the best high school football team I was ever associated with as a coach or player was the 66 Flora Wolves. Now, I'm going to list all their legendary accomplishments, but these guys have done much of that. They told you about the 10-0 season, the NEC Conference Championships, and all that kind of stuff. So let me put it in a little perspective for you. The 10-0 season, 10 wins, is the only 10-win season in the history of Flora football. In addition, those 10 wins were the main part of an 18-game winning streak. And probably the thing that makes it stand out the most, their accomplishments are legendary, they're well known. They have gone unchallenged and unmatched for 60 years. These guys were good. So I thought tonight maybe that's what I'll talk about. What made this team good? And it kind of fell into 3 things: character, talent, coaching. Now by character, I don't mean a single thing. I mean those traits that go into making character, things that lead to success. For instance, a strong work ethic. Our coaches taught us that if anything was worth having, it was worth working for, and hard work was the key to success. We worked hard. We practiced for countless hours each week just for the chance to win a football game on Friday night. Our coaches also taught us about teamwork. They told us working together, we could accomplish anything. We believed it, and we did. We worked together. Each day in practice, we tried to make ourselves better and our teammates better. Don't get me wrong, the practices were very competitive, but never contentious. We had loyalty to our teammates. If a teammate couldn't make it for a game for whatever reason, somebody stepped in. We had each other's backs. Another part of character is respect. Respect was not only taught to us by our coaches, but it was taught to us by this community, by the school. And we learned respect. We learned to respect our coaches. We learned to respect our teammates. We learned to respect the game of football. We even learned to respect but never fear our opponents. And finally, attitude. When people talk about championship teams, they talk about winning attitudes, positive attitudes. For us, it was a lot more simple than that. It was just a simple expectation. When we stepped on the field, we expected to win. For us, it was losing was not a consideration, not a concern. For us, it was Friday night, turn on the lights, gear up, and win another football game. That's simple. Now, these traits developed character in these young men, and they became very successful as a football team. But the character carried way beyond football. They became successful men. From this group, there were doctors, educators, police officers, businessmen, successful farmers, and men who served in the military. But their greatest successes was none of that. The greatest success was that they took this character that was developed when they were in school, and they shared it with the children and with the grandchildren. The second thing that made this team great was talent. My goodness, were they talented. And talent goes beyond just ability. It goes all through the team. It has to do with talent and depth. This team had both. You've heard about the starters. There's a star on every team. You heard about Jay Wayne, all-conference, all-state running back, all-conference, all-state lineman, player of the year in the conference. Another name you should have heard was John Gatewood, first-team all-conference center, and Steve Oglesby, first-team all-conference quarterback. Now, what made this team special was not just that talent permeated through the whole team. And to illustrate that, I'll give you this one. One of the backups for Jerry Wayne in 66 was all-conference first-team running back in 67. The backup for Bob in 66, first-team all-conference lineman in 67. The same for Gatewood. His backup was the all-conference in 67. And even Oglesby, the young man that backed him up in '66 was first team all-conference quarterback in '67. And additionally, there was an all-conference tight end in '67. So this was two tremendous groups together. In high school football, it's not unusual to have a talented group, and it's not unusual to have numbers. It is rare to have the combination of talent and numbers that this team had. To give you an example of just how talented this group of juniors and seniors were, their conference record for 2 years was 17-1, and they won back-to-back conference championships. They were an excellent team. The third thing that I think made this team great had to do with coaching. Coaching changes. When we entered high school, the group met at 2016, Ed Yonkers was the football coach. Coach Yonkers was a very good football coach, very successful. His 62 team won the conference championship, and his 64 team won the conference championship. But Coach Yonkers was old school, simple, straightforward. His teams depended on strength, speed, and size to win. And so he coached old school football. His defense, he just lined his 11 guys up and said, here we are, get to us if you can. On offense, did the same thing. Lined these guys up, said, here we come, stop us if you can. In '65, he was replaced by a young coach from Auburn, Coach Al Warnicky. Coach Warnicky was a new school coach, a progressive at the time in the mid-'60s. And he brought a little more to the table than just old school coaching. He added another dimension. He brought a little bit of versatility, a little bit of movement, a little bit of deception, a little bit of finesse. For instance, his defense, he could change the look of his defense on every play, move all 11 players. The result of that was a defense that allowed 40 points in team football. On offense, he spread the field, he spread the defense, he used multiple formations, and he put people in motion. This caused problems for the team trying to stop him because he could come at him from so many ways in so many directions. The result of that was an offense that scored over 320 points in 10 years. Do the math. They averaged 32 points a game and only gave up 4. That's a pretty good definition of greatness. One of the things that I told you at the beginning, I told you my opinion of how good that team was. I'll share a second opinion with you from a better source from Coach Warnicky himself. When Coach Warnicky left Flora, he went to the state of Florida, and he built a tremendous coaching career in the state of Florida. His teams won multiple conference championships. They qualified for the state playoffs repeatedly. They advanced through it, even to winning a state championship. When Coach Warnicky retired, he was inducted into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. At induction, he was asked a simple question, Coach, what's the best football team you ever coached? Coach Warnicky said, to be honest with you, the best team I ever coached was in a small town in southern Illinois in 1966, the Flora Wolves. Now I'll close with something of a personal. I can't express to Tim and Bobby and the committee what an honor it is for me to be here tonight, to represent that group, to speak about them and speak for them. My teammates, my friends who became the Flora Wolves of '66. They were, they are, and they always will be the best of the best. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody up here that's accepted an award thus far this evening. Before we move on to our remaining 5 recipients, I want to take a moment to recognize and thank some special people who have made this night possible. First of all, Wabash TV for our live stream, Jennifer Lewis with Fair Bar and Catering for our wonderful meal, New Beginnings Church for hosting us here, and probably most importantly, the Flora administration and Bobby McNeely for starting this endeavor a couple of years ago. Let's talk about it. Our next honoree this evening is 1985 Flora graduate Mark Stanley. Tonight, Mark is being presented for induction by his brother, 2024 Hall of Fame inductee Tim Stanley. Please welcome to the stage, Tim Stanley.
was always proud of my little brother in a big way. You know, I think as I get older, the goal is more and more is to see and to present and talk about others, especially that next generation. And they do it better than I did. My brother did that. So tonight I get to introduce my brother. But I'm so proud of how he applied himself to doing something better than me. He led his team, and he was even a better teammate too. He's a great man, husband, father, and a brother. He and I talk almost every day. I'm so proud of him, Mark. Come on up.
Man, there are a lot of leaves here. I don't know if y'all noticed this, like this whole little space over here. The thing about those leaves is, you know, that thing about loving one another, loving your neighbors, y'all heard of that? They take it really serious. That's what I like about them. And they had food. Curtis couldn't be here. Everyone knows what a great player he was. He did. And then there's Greg, Phil. I counted it up. We played 4 million games of one-on-one every summer. And you know, we play all day. We play all morning. I'd sneak into the gym. You know, we'd have to get through the door that was chained shut. And then we'd play, and then we'd go work at the pool. But somehow we got a job there. I don't know. There was this guy who hired us. And then we'd go to Grandma Geneva's house, and we'd watch Three Stooges until we fell asleep. And we'd get up and we'd do it again. And that was what we did every day. And at the time, Greg was really the only one who could hang with me one-on-one. And he would guard me, and he would learn all my moves, and then he would make me change. So all that scoring I did inside, it came from Greg Lee playing me a one-on-one in the summer. And, you know, I may have been a hair bit quicker than Greg, I think, maybe a little bit, no, okay. And I didn't get injured, but besides that, Greg and I were the same player, basically. And, you know, Greg didn't whine as much if he didn't get the ball, so he had that going for him. But one thing I know about these leagues is, well, one thing I know about Greg, we couldn't get past Carmine in that stupid tournament without it. And we didn't get to go to the state the next year. We couldn't get past Madison without it. So Greg, everyone knows you're a good coach. A lot of us haven't forgot what a great player he was. One thing I know about him is if you go to the league house, you're coming to one. So, love you guys. But I can't talk. I spent all the time in the league. Okay, so Mary and Carla King are here. Most of you know, some of you don't, but you know, my senior year, Stanley household went through a little rough patch, and I just needed a place to be. And since I grew up in a small community and not some urban anthill, there was someone there. And Ron and Mary King basically adopted me right here. Carla and Angie became my sisters. I did my homework there, I ate my meals there. I played games there. Carla typed out my research paper for Mrs. Riley on her kitchen table. I listened to you so well at time. And every time I went to their house, I was welcome. And they're my family, and I'll never forget what y'all did here. Coach Welch, you know, in a young man's life, there's going to be competition. And that's the world we live in. And I've learned as I've grown older, he was a little bit wrong. Working harder isn't always the right solution to every problem. But it's pretty much the right solution most of the time. And Coach, I always felt like I had a little something extra in my back pocket when I got in those situations.
really appreciate it. There was a business situation where I was trying to get to Washington PT school, and they only took a small percentage. And I just knew if I just work harder than the 90%. And I got that from Coach Ross. My brother, what can I say? Well, sometimes I forget that not everyone grew up with a Rottweiler in the back. And it's very apropos that he was up here because he led the way and he was at my back. And there's never been a time in my life when I haven't felt love by my brother. And people say, oh, what's it like going up to Tim Stanley? It's scary. He wasn't scaring me, he was just there. And I always knew I could count on him. And even as a child, I felt loved by my brother. Thank you, Tim. I wish Mom and Dad could be here. You know, Dell and Lynn, they did the absolute best they could. And Dad was this, you know, he was quiet, but he was there for us, providing all the time, always at our games, always he came to practice. I mean, practice was boring, he came to watch. And then Mom was the quality assurance department. I ain't gonna say nothing bad, but and you know, I got a D one time in 6th grade in spelling, and I was grounded for 5 weeks. At home, writing and reading, no TV, and she cared that we did things right. And you know, my mom is represented here, my Aunt Mary and Uncle Terry here, my mom's youngest sister. Thank you for stepping in when my mom passed in 2019. Aunt Mary tells me when to go to the doctor, and I ignore her just like I did my mom. And my father is represented by Jerry and Martha. Thank you, Uncle Jerry, my dad's youngest brother. And I wish they could be here to see this. I know they'd be proud. I want to thank my guards. I don't know if y'all remember it. I wasn't exactly a ball handler, you know. I depended on these guys. And starting sophomore year, the late Randy Hockman, Mark Wika, Kent Land, then we moved into fantastic Kevin Pleasure came in the junior year, picked right up where they left off. And then Steve Greger, and even a young Tim Locum, you know, before all the superpowers kicked in, you know, they had to pass the ball inside. And, you know, everyone wanted to be the star. Everybody wants to have the glory. Those guys were, it's his fault. You know, he's the one that said throw the ball inside, and they did. And they sacrificed. I mean, Steve Greger could have been first team all-conference on some other team. But on this team, he had to throw the ball to me. And I really appreciate you guys. I know I could not have done this without you guys. And I appreciate your sacrifice. Kevin Wilson and Jay Thatcher here. Kevin came in from Atlanta. Jay came in from Nashville. We were 3 amigos. Coach McGrew came from that road, Blue Mountain Road. So I don't want to put that down. But yeah, Kevin, I met him at First Christian Church in Sunday school, and we've been friends for 50-something years. He introduced me to my bride, and helped us figure out math, and none of the rest of us can figure it out. Materially, just a great fit for a long time. Thanks, Kevin, for making it. Jay, I mean, what do you say about Jay? I wish everyone could have a friend like Jay. Man has a deep well of kindness, compassion, and non-judgment. And when sometimes despair or anxiety come into my life, you can ask my wife. The first thing I think is, I need to call Jay. And he picks the phone, first of all. He picks the phone up, and he's always there. You know, his life isn't exactly easy either, but he always takes time. And we almost didn't become friends because I knew him, but we went to Eric Fender took us all to Florida on a van. And Kevin said, let's pick Jay for our third. You have to have 3. And I was like, Jay, the nerd. Glasses,
But what a mistake that would have been. So, Jay, I love you, man. Thanks for being here. As always. My wife, Sue, Christine Stanley, and my son, Seth. When I met Christine, I was a stuttering and very insecure young man. And she has grounded me for 37 years somehow. It's 37 years. And I'm kind of flighty one. She's the one that keeps my feet on the ground and has loved me through thick and thin. And now I'm a non-stuttering, slightly less insecure man. And my son, we almost moved back to Florida. You all would have forgotten about me. He was way better than I've ever been in basketball. So I have like 1 minute of wisdom. But your expectations are low. But I've been thinking, there's this guy named Melvin Gold, and I just got obsessed with him. He was the first Flora player to score 1,000 points. So I started using the Google machine. And I found out this guy was a total stud. I mean, he's the leading football scorer as well. He was a tennis champion. He went on to Georgia Tech. And, was their Hall of Fame. And I was like, how in the world was Mark Stanley getting into the Hall of Fame before this dude? And I just thought, 1948 is a long time. He's basically been forgotten. And I started thinking, that's exactly what's going to happen to me. The Hall of Fame is an institution of remembrance. But in that mission, it will certainly fail through the generations. And knowing that, since we're all going to eventually join old Melvin in the Hall of the Forgotten, I think it's important to think about where we are right here and right now. Because when I look around the room and I see my coach, there's Mike Milner, oh man, there's all those leaves. There's Tom Kelsinger, even though the Cubs are playing. There's Palace. Oh my gosh, there's Troy Kirk. These are people I've known my entire life. And here, there's really only one word to really describe the feeling, and that word is home. Flora's home, and I really love this place. And I appreciate everyone who's supported me along the way, and I would not be here without
Thank you, Mark. Our next honoree tonight is 1986 graduates, Phil Lee. Tonight's Phil is being presented for induction by his coach and 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Coach Tom Welch.
It is my honor tonight to introduce our next inductee into the Flora High School Athletic Hall of Fame. I've known Phil for over 40 years, first as a player and as another coach and as a friend. His athletic accomplishments speak for themselves. There were too many for me to just stand up here and go through, and maybe he will go through some things. But very deserving of this honor. Phil was a three-sport athlete at Flora and went on to play Division I basketball at Northern Illinois University. He later returned home to Flora to coach the Flora Wolves for 25 years. But what you can't see in the statistics is what really makes Phil the person that he is for the Hall of Fame. In all the years I've known him, his loyalty and commitment have never changed to his school, where he played and coached for 25 years. His community, where him and the rest of the Lee family have sang in every church in Clay County and Southern Illinois. Also, to his family, Cindy, his five children, and several grandchildren, and his deep commitment to his church. At this time, I'm proud to introduce one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet into the Athletic Hall of Fame, Bill Lee.
I wasn't really scheduled to tear up until about midway through my speech, but so much for that. I grew up watching Sesame Street. You feel like you remember that episode as far as which one of these don't fit in, which one of these don't belong here. I feel that way. We have giants before me that are here today, inducted to this Hall of Fame. Thank you, Bobby, for helping put this together. Thank you, Tim, for MC, and thank you for all the Hall of Fame committee for, first of all, just recognizing and even considering. Coach, thank you. Thank you for being what you all mentioned. You were my coach, my employer. Although, like Mark said, sometimes we try to figure out what you did other than a garden hose operator. I think that's what we came up with. But then a mentor as a coach, and then a friend. But you taught us so much more than just the X's and O's. You taught and gave us valuable life skills that helps make people successful today. What it is to be punctual, what it is to have a work ethic, what it is to compete. And you also taught me, human anatomy and physiology. You said, what in the world, but how do you do that? You didn't teach that. Because one time I thought I would be a good humanitarian and donate blood. So I donated blood. However, I didn't realize that you don't want to do that on the day of a track meet. So I did that morning. Later on that day, I was running under 2:05 consistently, trying to get that record down to 2 minutes. I ran like a 2:15. I still won, but I was up there at Louisville, and I come across the line, and what the heck? I said, Coach, I don't know what's wrong. I am so tired. He said, what'd you do today? So I gave blood. And Coach Welch, being Coach Welch, well, you dummy. What do you think carries the oxygen to the blood, to the muscles? Well, now I know. And he also taught me, physics, the gravitational pull of water, swirling around and going downward as far as in the toilet. Why did you tell me this? Because I remember I was a sophomore, freshman, going to be a sophomore, and man, we were good. And you're just fighting for a spot, fighting for a scrap, just to have a chance to play for the Flora Wolves. It was a summer basketball game, and I thought I did pretty good. As a sophomore, all this competition. And after the game, he goes, we're all around the huddle, he goes, Bill, you got more booze than a turd going down the toilet. If you don't put the ball in the hole, it doesn't matter. That's what I learned real quick to get to school. It is so humbling to be here and to be recognized and honored as a track athlete, basketball player, and as a coach. As a track athlete, as a runner, I got to be honest with you, it was never a passion. The reason why I ran so fast, I just couldn't wait to get done. But I was just blessed with the ability to run and endure pain. But I wouldn't have that ability without my big brother, Greg. Because I learned early on in life, you're motivated by two things, inspiration and desperation. One of those two things with me is both of them. Because my brother Greg loved to fight and I wanted to live. So I learned to run until he got faster, and then I just learned to laugh at him. And that's when I got tougher. So big brother, thank you. My dad, my mom, got to be with her and the rest. What a loving woman. She taught us that you can accomplish anything. There's nothing too small for you to do, right? Dream for it, achieve it. My dad, he was our superhero, man of steel. Right? Let's talk about sacrificing. Dad kind of helped develop that intensity of competing, what it is to be tough. Right? He also helped instill that work ethic as far as with running, because you don't just happen to run. But there'd be many nights at the Clay City country roads. It's just be Dad and I and the Coyotes. And we were out there. And believe me, I stayed awfully close to my dad until I could see the lights of home, and he'd say, go on, son. And I can't give him another year, but it wouldn't be possible without you, Dad. Thank you. My other siblings. Leah's here. Sis, thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for motivating me, especially when I ran the mile. You say, why? I didn't motivate you for a mile. Yes, you did. Because I ran faster, because I knew if I could run fast enough, I could lap you and touch you, pat you on the butt as I go by and lap you on that fourth lap. So sis, thank you. Our brothers Jason, Curtis is not here, but thank you for helping me fight Greg. It didn't matter, we still got beat, but he tried. We fought the valiant fight. But we learned toughness growing up in the Lee household, but we also learned importantly what it is to love. What it is to love our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, what it is to love others. Right? We didn't have a lot growing up, but we had each other. And you would never think that we were best friends today, right? Because we fought. It wasn't like the Brady Bunch fight or Cosby fight. Those were called arguments. These were fights. I mean, if there wasn't blood, it wasn't a fight. That was the lead way. I'm so thankful we've changed since then. As far as track, I was blessed enough to have 3 records at one time. I ran a 4:26 in the 1600. My goal eventually was just to break Dave Delaney's record. I ended up running a 1:59. His record was 2 minutes. Records were meant to be broken because 4 or 5 years later, Brian Delaney, his son, broke my record. But then along came Isaac Stanford, who broke my mile record, right? But then also got the Delaney record, right? He ran the 1:55 and the 800. And then also had the 400 record. I ran a 50.8, and I didn't let Isaac run that, so that way I couldn't break it. That's not true, Lee. I'm sorry. But it was so blessed being the track. Like I said, track was not my passion. Running was not my passion. It was something I did, something I was blessed with. So I did it. And Dad always taught us, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I ran and I competed. Right? But my true passion, whether I was running track, whether I was playing football or cross country, it was basketball. It was basketball. It didn't matter what season, it was always basketball season. Right? And that means when I'm playing football, I went home at night, I turned on the lights, a floodlight to our driveway, and I shot through 250, 500 shots a night. I put in the time because I wanted not only to be the best, right, I also wanted to be the best for my team and our team to be the best. And that wouldn't be possible without other giants ahead of me, right? Tim Locum, who happened to be a freshman, I was a sophomore, he had no idea what influence he has in my life. But I knew if I didn't get my tail in gear and work at it, I was going to get passed up. Well, that happened anyway, but that's okay. Without him, that wouldn't be possible. Mark Stanley, you talk about one-on-ones. He wasn't lying. It was day after day, one-on-one. My brother Greg, right? Same thing. I mean, they were battles. Rich is here to support me, my best friend at our wedding. He didn't really bring anything to the table basketball-wise, but he was always there. He was my tutor in high school. How about that? And I needed one. Kevin Cosplay was out there. What a mentor you were to me, especially at an influential age. Poor Kevin, I always told him in cross country, hey, today I'm going to hang back and stay with you. I just never did. I'm sorry, Kevin. But basketball was my love. And I was blessed enough. I got some accolades, and we played in some great teams growing up in the 80s. I mean, I thought that was normal. That was not normal. What we had was something special, incredibly special, right? Largely because of this community, but for the most part, for Coach Welch. It's one thing to have talent, it's another thing to do something with it, and he did something with it. But I was blessed enough, I didn't have many college scholarship offers at the D1 level. As a matter of fact, I didn't have any. But I went on, played at OCC after a couple of years. And I was like, I just still had a dream. I had a dream to play Division I basketball. So I went and I worked and I worked and I worked my tail off and I was working. And I walked on at Northern Illinois University. And if it hadn't been for my wife, which I'll get to in a minute, but she stopped her schooling to help put me through school so I could have a chance to pursue my dream. Well, lo and behold, ended up getting a full ride scholarships at Northern Illinois University. Junior year was tough. Set the bench, didn't like it. Senior year, new coach, continued to keep working, ended up being a starter. But I was kind of like a Pavlov dog. Every time that first horn rang, he just started me for basically just to show others, hey, this is what hard work does. This is what good attitude does. I'm going to reward you, Phil. But when the Dusty game came on, the first First horn, boom, I just ran to the bench because that's where I knew I was going. Because my first election to Division I was at an open gym. They get pass stolen and boom, I go down the court and man, they swat off the backboard. But as a coach, I learned really early on, you're gonna have wins, you're gonna have losses, but there's gotta be something more important. There's gotta be something way more important. It's not necessarily about touching the mind, it's about touching the soul. And that belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But my thank you to my family, and I know Tim's standing up, and I gotta talk quickly, which is hard because I had speech therapy growing up as third grader. But my wife, Cindy, who someone says a rock, she is a rock. She helps see my blind sides. She is my greatest encourager, greatest supporter, and I love her so much. And this is as much as an award for her as it is for me, because I would be here without my wife, Cindy. Thank you. I love you. My children, Hannah, Helen, Ethan, Ian, and Owen. That's a lot. I just remember EIO. The three boys played for me. What a blessing that was. You talk about highlights, that was a great highlight, but as soon as we pulled in the driveway, I was no longer coach, I was dad, because they're going to be their dad a lot longer than they're going to be their coach. And that's something I need you, those out there watching need to listen. If you're going to play for your father or mother, better be one or two things. Be very, very good or very, very bad. So that way there's no discrepancy as why you're not playing or why you are playing. It's great advice. If I could say something from the Hall of Fame committee and inductees, it'd probably be a poem. It'd be this, which might kind of summarize me and my persona. It says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the floods are low and the debts are high and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. For success is failure turned inside out, a silver tint with a cloud of doubt. You never can tell how close you are, maybe near what seems so far. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things go wrong that you mustn't quit. Last thing, this. If you ask my players, I hope they would know this. I hope they would know that you only control two things, your attitude and effort. I hope that you can't expect perfection, but you can strive for excellence. And I hope that they would know this, that there were seeds of fertile soil planted so that they could receive the love of Jesus Christ. And that's why I'm here. Right? Because coaching was a job, but impacting lives was a mission. Lastly, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Thank you.
Our next honoree tonight is Bob Powlis, a 1960 graduate of Flora High School. Presenting Bob for induction tonight is 2024 Flora Hall of Fame inductee and his son, Joel Powlis. Joel?
All right, it's good to be here tonight. I think the thing that I've enjoyed the most about the Hall of Fame is learning about the old timers, talking about the old timers, the athletes that played 50, 60, even 70 years ago, the guys that set the bar for all the other athletes to try to mimic and be like. And we're fortunate enough to have one of those guys here tonight. He's 83 years old. 65 years ago, he was a senior in high school. And he was wearing Flora Wolves football, basketball, and tennis jerseys. And he definitely made him proud. He was a two-time honorable mention All-State basketball player his junior and senior year back-to-back. He was a two-time first-team All-State tennis player his junior and senior year back-to-back. Got to the state semifinals in tennis back-to-back his junior and senior year. There's only, as far as I know, there's only two players that have ever gotten that far, south of Decatur. One, of course, was Uncle John, and the other one was my dad, Bob Powlis. And Dad got there twice, so that's an accomplishment I hope you're really proud of. Went on to Purdue, played freshman basketball at Purdue. So played a year for Purdue. A lot of people don't know that. It's back when those old time, the universities had freshman programs, and they were required to play on the freshman team as freshmen. He played there 4 years. He played on the tennis team, and his sophomore, junior, and senior year, 3 years in a row, he played number one at Purdue and was team captain. And I had to wrap my brain around that this week. I was like, if you play number one for Purdue, like, you're pretty good. Like, you're obviously pretty good. But you did it 3 years in a row, which to me, that's insane. And I know you would never brag about it, so I'm going to do it for you. That's insane. So I hope you're proud of that. The last thing I want to touch on about Bob is that his best attributes on and off the court his entire life are his character and his kindness. He's just a nice guy, always has been. When I was a kid, he would always win these sportsmanship awards, always, for being the nicest, kindest guy on the tennis court. And I remember when I was about 12, me and some kid were up at the net. We were like cussing at each other. And my mom grabbed me and yanked me off the court. And she said, you know, you really need to try to be more like your dad. Like, he's just so nice to his opponents. And I remember I said to my mom, I said, Mom, listen, if I could beat the crap out of my opponents the way Dad does, I could be nice too. So of course he's nice. I mean, he's destroying people out there. Anyone that knows him knows that he really is truly that nice. Win, lose, or draw, he was just always courteous, respectful, giving compliments, just a stand-up guy. I want you to know it didn't go unnoticed. I know Andy and Chris would likely agree with me that we couldn't have asked for a better role model growing up. And we're very proud to be here to celebrate with you this evening. And with that, everyone, I give you the next Hall of Famer, Bob House.
My wife would be really proud if she could be here tonight to hear Joel talk like this, because we knew when he was 5 years old he was going to be an attorney, because you couldn't win an argument with him at all, even at 5 years old. I would come home at the end of the day, and Judy would usually say, I need you to discipline Andy, and you may have to spank Chris, and I want you to kill Joel. I don't think she ever won one argument with me. I was really surprised to be made a candidate at 83. I wasn't for sure there was anybody even alive that was going to see me on the basketball or the football field. Yeah. How's that now? Better? Okay. Well, I won't repeat everything I said. We'll go from here. But when I started thinking about being in the Hall of Fame, the one thing that I was reminded of, and I've really enjoyed thinking about, was all the guys that I actually participated with, all my teammates. It took me a long time to realize that their abilities are what help you to stand out, help you do your very, very best. And I was talking to some of the candidates today and reminding them of sometimes you really learn a lot about your teammates after high school, college, what they do in life. And I got to play with some extremely great guys. Let me just tell you some of the things that might have happened during my time. In basketball, we were ranked in the top 10 my junior year, and then we were ranked in the top 20 my senior year. And it seemed like no matter how good we played and how hard we tried, we could never get past the finals of the sectionals all the time. But one time, my senior year, we had a round robin tournament here at Flora in the snake pit, and the number 2 team in the state, undefeated, was in that tournament, and we played them in the finals. And as it turned out, we beat them by about 7 or 8 points, and they never lost again until they got to the finals of the state championship, and they lost there to, I think, Detroit or Chicago. So we knew we had the potential, but we just didn't get it all together at the right time. But it's great, some of the things that's happened. I think probably the most thrills was in tennis. I got to the semifinals of the state championship my junior and senior year. But the greatest thing about that was that our whole team qualified for state. That doesn't always happen. A lot of times it's just 1 or 2 singles players or a doubles team, and our whole team qualified. And we played the state. I made it to the semifinals. We had several other guys win matches, and as it turned out, we took 3rd place in the state of Illinois in tennis that year. And that's one of the highest performances I think we've had. 3rd place. It might have been another basketball team way back there that made it that far. But that was an exceptional group. And I was telling some of the nominees today that after I started reminiscing about those players and what made them so good, gave them so much grit to never say die. Bill Bowen was number 2 player. And while we're talking about Bill Bowen, we've gone on about a 3-year winning streak in tennis. And athletes are very superstitious about win-loss records. And so Bowen was in my Sunday school class. He would call me every Saturday afternoon and sometimes Sunday morning and remind me to be in Sunday school that day. And so, as it turned out, we never missed another Sunday school class for the rest of our high school career. We had a 3-year winning streak, and we took 3rd place in the state tournament. So I think Bill knew what we needed to do. After that, I went to Purdue, and my son said I played number 1 there for the 3 years we were eligible. And I got to play freshman basketball, which I really enjoyed, but I was afraid it was going to be tough to play 2 sports and also graduate from a really tough 5-year pharmacy program at Purdue, so I had to let the basketball go. But after college, I only lost about 3 or 4 matches, I think, all the time at Purdue. Unfortunately, Michigan and Northwestern had 2 players. One of them was number 1 in the United States when he was 20, and the other guy was number 4. So those are the 2 guys I usually lost to when I had to play them. My brother John was a big influence on me in my life, and tennis in those days, there wasn't any money in tennis. It didn't make money until it became a professional sport. And of course, we didn't care. We were there for the love of tennis. We liked to compete. And he was always trying to get me to go to tournaments and play with him. And so finally, my 5th year at Purdue, which I wasn't eligible anymore to play sports, he talked me into playing in 2 national tournaments. And we played in the Southern National Championships in Alabama, and we actually won that one. And just to show you how things work, if you get a tank of gas and maybe a dozen hamburgers and a dozen Cokes, and that's what you got. You know, today, if you win a tournament like that, you would split $500,000. That's how much it's changed since then. But we didn't really care. We enjoyed it. My family had set a real high bar for me in tennis. My dad, my brother, my sister had won almost every tournament they ever played in. And my dad didn't start playing tennis until he was 16. And when he was 65, he was number 5 in that country. And of course, my brother, he was number 1 forever. So I got the chance to play 2 tournaments with him. We won the 1 national tournament in Alabama. We played in the public parks hard course in St. Louis and came in second there. But the one event I think I remember the best, the one that we lost in the finals of this tournament, but it was like a win because we went to Mexico to play in a national tournament. We played up in a beautiful little community called San Luis Potosí, up in the mountains. And players from all over the world were there. My brother won the singles, and we got to the finals of doubles, and we just barely lost 9-7 in the third set. But it was who we lost to. We were actually playing Australia's #2 Davis Cup doubles team. So I started to realize if I had the time to follow my brother around, they were telling how good we had done. But at that time, I had a wife, a soulmate, and I had a child, and I went back to Flora, came back here and worked with my father to produce the pharmacy business. Continued to play a lot of tennis. In fact, he and I won the state father and son championship twice, and then they quit happening for about 5 years. So we looked forward several times to continue playing, but never connected on. Again, I want to say that I feel greatly honored because, not only because I got accepted and nominated, but that I got to do it this time with my older brother, John, who was my idol. And also having my youngest son did it last year. That's a honor beyond what I could have ever imagined. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Our next inductee this evening is Mary Beth Welch Collins, a 1988 graduate of Flora High School. Once again, presenting her tonight is her father and class of 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Coach Tom Welch.
Again, it is my honor to introduce the next member of our Flora High School Athletic Hall of Fame, who is my daughter, Mary Beth. And for many accomplishments, I wouldn't want to take all my time standing up here to go through them all, but you can find them on the website if anybody's interested. But Mary Beth had the perfect combination of her mother's brains and my height, and she used those skills to accomplish what you did. And the one thing about her is she loved to win and be the best at whatever she was doing, whether it was athletics or academics. Mary Beth understood the one thing that many of the people that are inducted today understood, which is the law of practice. And if you couldn't be the best, you didn't work on it hard enough. And she spent the time she needed, whether it was academics or athletics, to be the best that she could. She earned 12 varsity letters, as well as being salutatorian of her class. Then went on to earn athletic, academic, All-American honors at Indiana State, where she played Division I tennis. The following quote from Vince Lombardi is how Mary Beth approached athletics, academics, and now her professional career. The will to win is not nearly as important as the will to prepare to win. That's what she did in high school and now in her professional career. And that is one of the things that guided her since greatness. Again, I'm very proud to introduce to you the next inductee into the Athletic Hall of Fame, Mary Beth Welch Collins.
introduction. I want to start by thanking the Flora School Board for creating and supporting the Flora High School Hall of Fame, Bobby McNeely for all of his hard work organizing this event, and to the Hall of Fame members for giving me this honor. I also want to congratulate my fellow inductees tonight and just say what an honor it is to be inducted with this group of you. I admire and respect every single one of you deeply. When I introduced my dad last year at this event, I had a lot to say about my unique perspective, watching him achieve coaching success throughout my life. But this year, when asked to speak on my own behalf, I found the subject matter much less compelling. But upon reflection, clearly the biggest key to my athletic success was that I was a coach's daughter. Most of my childhood, from my earliest memories, revolved around sports. I was always in the gym, on the field, in the dugout, or wherever else my dad was from the time I was a little girl. I went to all games, 3 sports a year, while my dad coached. I soaked up the rules, schemes, philosophies, and work ethic that surrounded me without even knowing it was happening. There's no mystery why many a coach's child are good at sports, and I was no exception to that rule. But there were some forks in the road along the way. Being a little girl at my dad's games, the cheerleaders would frequently ask my parents if I could be their mascot. And I couldn't understand why my parents always said no. Did my dad have another plan for me? When my family moved to Flora in 1980, I was just 9 years old. My dad accepted the head coach, basketball coach's position here. So, as the family story goes, that upon moving to Flora, just before the school year, my mom sent my dad and I to Jerry Stanford's sporting goods store in town to buy me some Bobby socks so I could try out for cheerleading. Well, my dad took me to the sporting goods store as directed by my mom. But when we came home, I had no Bobby socks and a brand new basketball under my arm. My mom just couldn't win. And these are just some of the key moments. You know, who knows what direction my life would have taken if I had just gotten those Bobby socks. But on a serious note, there are a few people that I would like to thank tonight for their support throughout the years. I'd like to thank Linda Brisbane, my high school tennis coach, who always supported me in any way that she could. During the 3 years she was my coach in high school, our teams were undefeated in regular season play, and we won the sectional championship each year. I had the privilege to be the number one singles player on these teams. But these teams, the top 3 players of those teams, with Carrie Stringer and Julie Mason, all went on to play Division I tennis after high school, which is truly remarkable. I'd like to thank Don Talmont, who was my first private tennis coach and my practice partner for many years, and Harry Gullion, my private coach from Charleston, Illinois. Julie Mason Pierce and Patsy Hoskins Conley and I spent countless hours on the courts throughout the years, and I thank them both so much. For basketball, I'd like to thank my high school coach, Rick Porter. I started varsity all 4 years of high school. During that time, we were ranked in the state and won 4 regional titles. I was able to score over 1,000 career points at a time where 2 of my teammates, Janet Krutzinger and Sherry Coughlaser, also had over 1,000 career points. I'm pretty sure we were a lot to handle, but Coach Porter always kept us together as a team and was a key to our success. I'd like to thank my basketball teammates, but particularly Janet Krutzinger, who always challenged me and who was, in my opinion, the best basketball player I ever played with or against. Now to track. The single most excruciatingly painful sport on this planet Earth. Before my class entered high school for the 84-85 school season, there was no high school girls track team.
my dad agreed to coach the boys track team if they would create a girls track team, which he would then volunteer to coach. We just had an exceptional group of female athletes coming into high school that year to run, including Joanne Herring, who went on to run track at the Division I level in college. Our senior year, with just a handful of girls on the team, we won the sectional championship in track. We beat over 20 other teams like Cairo, who had large teams and ran multiple people in every single event. We had 5 girls on our team that scored and won all our events in that meet, and we won the sectional championship. Also that year, our relay team won the Decatur area best track meet, and we medaled at state. Looking back on this 1988 girls track team, even though the experience was almost traumatically physically painful, I am proud of its extraordinary accomplishments. I'd also like to thank Smitty for your support for local athletics throughout the years and your support and encouragement of me as a person and as an athlete. And you wrote an article naming me the best female athlete you have covered in your career. That was the single highest level of praise I think I've ever received. You are an amazing person, and I thank you very much. To my mom and dad, Tom and Bella Welch, I cannot imagine what my life would be without your constant support from childhood through today. My mom spent countless hours driving me to tennis tournaments throughout Southern Illinois and the Midwest, sitting there watching me play tennis for days at a time, emotionally supporting me when I won or lost. Believe it or not, I wasn't a very nice person to be around when I lost. Driving me to and from tennis lessons in Charleston each week, and so much more. When I was a kid, I thought that taking me to practice, lessons, and tournaments was just what mothers did. I mean, what else did you have to do, right? Now, as an adult with 3 kids of my own, I fully understand and appreciate the time and sacrifice to your own life that you gave to me so I could succeed. There's no way I could ever repay you except to say thank you and that I love you very much. Dad, when I was a kid, you worked so hard as a coach and teacher, but I always felt you didn't mind me tagging along wherever you went. I was always tagging along. Looking back, I was probably a real pain to take care of while you were working and you had a lot of things to do. But allowing me to be around sports all of the time and to be a true coach's kid was a huge part of my athletic success. You had unlimited energy to support me and always push me to be better than I was. You were always there to hit another bucket of balls to me, or to shoot hoops in the driveway, or to teach me how to belly up playing one-on-one. You were a coach, but you were always just dad to me. When I came home from a basketball game, you didn't coach me or criticize my performance. You were just my dad. I can't thank you enough for all of the love, effort, and support you have given me, and I love you. It took the support from all these people and many more to achieve athletic success, to play 4 years of Division I tennis at Indiana State University, to earn my law degree at University of Illinois, and to transition my achievements as a child into a successful adult life and career. Thank you again. Finally, I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Love you. And to my 3 children, Carter, Abby, and Ollie, thanks for being here, and I love you too. With that, I want to end with just some brief thoughts on female athletics. Of all my athletic accomplishments, I think being the first female athlete at FHS to earn 12 varsity letters is the most cherished to me. Title IX, which was groundbreaking civil rights legislation, was passed in the early 1970s, and I started school in 1975. So I was in the first generation of girls to spend their entire school career with the same opportunities to play sports as the boys in their class. Without Title IX, I am certain there would not have been scholarships for female athletes to play at Division I colleges. I'm the only female athlete being honored here tonight. There may be only a few athletes older than me that make it to this stage, and there certainly won't be historical teams from the 50s, 60s, or 70s to be awarded this honor, because the girls of those eras had very little opportunity to achieve success in that way. And I think everyone in this room can agree what incredible values sports instills in us, and that what better people we are because we played sports. And I think we can all see how female sports has progressed in the 50 years since Title IX has passed. We may take female athletics for granted now. However, in today's world, laws based on diversity and equity are frequently blind, and they cannot be taken for granted. So as my last words for tonight, I'm imploring everyone in this room to continue to support women's athletics in Title IX in any way that you can, as our communities benefit greatly from the women our female athletes become. Again, thank you for this honor.
Okay, our final inductee in the 2025 class tonight is Jim Locum, my younger brother, a 1990 graduate of Flora High School. Presenting him for induction tonight is Dr. Frank Henniger.
Thank you all for showing up tonight and also staying hopefully. Thank you to the down and nominating committee for last year and this year. You made a great selection each year. Tonight we recognize all down and pardon me, I'm not used to speaking in front of the crowd. Those people whose talent, determination, and love of the game left an unforgettable mark on the floor. One of those people is someone whose family moved to Canada and who ever could change Flora boys basketball. I'm talking about Jim Locum, one of the greatest players ever to hold the orange and blue. Jim graduated in 1990, racking up all sorts of awards. He finished his high school career with 1,947 points. He was the top three-pointer in the Ohio State of Illinois. He was the most valuable player in North East Conference. He was All-State first team for Chicago Sun-Times, All-Area, Gator Herald, and Evansville Courier. He was inducted in the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2012. He not only loved basketball, he excelled in football as a quarterback and the captain of the Wolves. He really excelled in the classroom. Jim earned a slot at the Air Force Academy before transferring to the University of Martin, Tennessee. He continued his basketball career in education. It is a pleasure to watch Jim Locum grow up at Flora High School, and an honor to introduce him as one of the newest members of the whole Flora High School Hall of Fame.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dr. Henniger, for that introduction. And I can tell you with certainty that I wouldn't be able to be here because I wouldn't be able to find the gym, let alone the bottom of the net for three-pointers, if I did not have his excellence in professional eye care. Thank you to the 2024 class for the induction into the Flora Hall of Fame. It's an honor to be alongside my fellow 2025 inductees and welcomed in. Coach Mack, thank you for all those hours spent charting shots in the House of Carpet in between seasons in the 6th and 7th grade. Just says persistence
Repetition pays off. Coach Mark, you may not remember this, but it was big for me, but you were Principal Martin for me. Thank you for being the first and also the last school administrator to use the paddle on me. Your discipline taught me about actions and consequences. Made me think about and make better choices and make me a better person. Coach Welch, thank you for believing in a freshman with very little experience and helping me grow as a player and a person, and also a leader. My brother Tim, thank you for setting the standard of excellence in athletics and paving the way for myself and others to be known and seen to be recruited by major colleges. I also want to thank my fellow senior teammates, Michael Powell, Curtis Lee, Chris Pallas, and especially those role players. We had Brandon Warren, Steve Easton, Trenton Cycle, Sean Krutzinger. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone. You guys came to practice every day while getting little game playing time. You guys made the team better each and every day and every season, and we couldn't be here without you doing that. There's also many in the Flora community that are a part of wonderful memories. Remember Doc Mills, best student trainer ever. His family used to cook wonderful Italian meals for us junior high team back then for pregame meals. Also heard about the Leaves. I was direct recipient of that. Harold, Ruth Ann, they opened their house, their home to me. They lived 1 block from the House of Carpet McHenry School, which really helped me being someone who lived 10 miles out of town. So before games, we used to go to the Leaves house, so we can just walk back to the school to get ready for our games in junior high. And finally, thank you to several of the families from First Christian Church, like Jim and Judy Mann, Van and Debbie Brentlinger, Rick and Sharon Slaughter, and also all of my Parable Youth Group members. All of those were very consistent in sharing the truth that helped me make the most important decision in my life, and that was accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior. Love you all. Thank you, Flora, and God bless.
Thanks once again to everyone who attended this evening. I really appreciate it. I think we all appreciate the quality and certainly the conciseness of everybody's speeches tonight. Well done. All 2024 and 2025 Hall of Fame inductees, please stick around for a minute. Smitty wants to take a couple pictures. But please, as you go back out and we wait another year for our next edition of this, spread the word. We would love to make this a crown jewel because our Flora Athletic Department certainly deserves it, and we appreciate all the support. So thanks again to Bobby, the Flora administration, New Beginnings Church. We've had a wonderful evening. Everybody, please drive safe, and congrats again to all the inductees this year. Thank you.